Yes, good morning, students. Today we are going to see the topic about business economics. There is a foundation class also for CA students. So, what is business economics? Yesterday we discussed meaning and scope. Today we are going to discuss the business economics. So, first of all, what do you mean by business economics? The definitions. Joel Dean defined business economics is the terms of use of economic analysis in the formulation of business policies. So, easily we say it is a applied economic tools for business economics, business problems to solve how to solve the business problems using the economic tools. So that is called, it includes application of selected quantitative technique use such as linear program and then regression analysis, capital budget, break-even analysis, and cost analysis. So these all are the tools of economics. We are using these tools for business. Why? Because of in business there are so many problems are arising. How much to earn? What is the profit maximization? How do we do our budgeting? And how do we do our cost analysis? So that problem will be solved through the economic tools. So that is why business economics is called business plus economics. The integration of business and economics is called only business economics. That's all. So this approach also the focus on the heart of business economics, that is microeconomic theory. Why it is called microeconomic theory? Because micro means it deals only the part. For example, it is an individual or the particular department. Here, the business economics is a particular only one subject only, not the whole economy. Business economics. That is why it is called microeconomic theory. And also it deals with behavior of consumers and the firms in competitive and not competitive market also. So it deals with the particular firms or the particular business only. That is why it is called, it is a microeconomic theory. Business economics is a microeconomic only. So this theory provides managers with a basic framework for making key business decisions about the allocation of their firm's scarce resources. Yes. Why they are using a business economics tools? Because of the allocation, because always the resources are limited. So how can they allocate that limited sources? That is why it is called the decision making is about the allocation of their firm's scarce resources only. So resources are limited, but wants are unlimited. That is why it is the allocation of the firm's scarce resources only. The next one, nature of business economics. What is the nature? Usually, economics has been broadly divided into two parts. We know that is a micro and macro economics. So, before explaining the nature of business economics, it is a pattern to understand the distinction between these two. That is called subject matter of economics. So, in the subject matter of economics is micro and macro. So, first of all, what do you mean by micro? Already we know micro means it is a deals in the only the individuals or the organization or the particular department only. So it is a part of economy we are discussing or we are analyzing. That is why it is called microeconomics. So usually it is a how the individual units or the consumer or the firms they are making, how the decision makings are done in their groups, and also how can they are efficiently allocate their scarce resources. So that is why it is a focus on only a small member or a group of units. So all the units are combined and therefore it does not explain what is happening in the wider economic environment, only the particular. That is why it is called microeconomics. Okay. So what are we studied in the microeconomics? Product pricing, consumer behavior, factor pricing, the economic conditions of a section of people, behavior of firms, and location of industry. So these are we mainly studied under microeconomics. Next, we move to macroeconomics. Macroeconomics means we are studying in the aggregate, that is a large economic aggregate only. The overall developments and then overall level output and employment, total consumption, total savings, and then what are the government and household operates and making decisions also. So the economic environment represents the overall effect of the innumerable decisions made by millions of different consumers and producers. So macroeconomics is we are studying about the whole economy, but the microeconomics we are studying only the partial of the economy. That's all. This is the basic difference between micro and macroeconomics. The next one is nature and scope. The nature and scope of business economics. So something comes under macroeconomics are national income and national output, and also the general price level and interest rates also, balance of trade and balance of payments, and external value of currency, the overall level of savings and investment, and level of employment and rate of economic growth. So these areas are comes under macroeconomics. That's all. So the next one, nature of business economics. Usually, economic world is extremely complex only because there is a lot of interdependence among the decisions and activities of economic entities. That is why economic theories are hypothetical. So we wanted to simplistic in character. They are based on economic models. So we have to build the economic models because of simplifying their assumptions. Therefore, usually there is a gap between prepositions of economic theory and happenings in the real economic world. So, which is the manner managers make decisions. And then business economics enables application of economic logic and analytical tools to bridge the gap between the theory and practice. And that's all. So, this is the meaning of nature of business economics. So, business economics is a bridge only because they are fulfilling the gap between the theory and practices. Economics is a theory, business is a practices. So, we are integrating the business with economics. So, it is a bridge gap between the theory and practice. That's all. So, that is called nature of business economics. Then, how can we describe the nature of business economics? First one, business economics is a science because it's a systemized body of knowledge. So it established the cause and effect relationship. That is why it is called the science only. So business economics integrates the tools of the decisions such as mathematics, statistics, and econometrics with economic theory. So, it is appropriate strategies for achieving the goals of the business enterprises. So, it follows scientific methods and empirically tests the validity of the results. That is why business economics is a science. First of all, it is a knowledge which establishes the cause and effect relationship. And the next one, it is also tested. Also, it will be the hypothesis will comes the validity of the results. So, business economics is called science. That is a proven. That is why it is a science. Then, business economics is based on microeconomics. Why it is called microeconomics? Because of it is only the concern about the achievement of the single individual or the organizations. So it's a group or the individual only, not the whole. So that is why business economics is a microeconomics based only. So it relies heavily on the techniques of microeconomic only because the decision making problems of individual establishments will be solved through the business economics. The next one incorporates elements of macroeconomics. So it is a operate in a vacuum only. It is affected by the external environment of the economy. So which it operates such as general price level, income and employment levels in the economy. That is why it is called incorporated elements of macroeconomics or the macro analysis. Before that, we say this is a based on microeconomics because it is only study about the particular business firm only. It is a based is a microeconomics, but also incorporate the elements of macroeconomics. Why? Because of it is also included or interlinked in the price level, general price level, and income and employment level, government policies also. Because these XR comes under macroeconomic, but we also analyze in the business economics. That is why we said incorporate elements of macro analysis. So a business manager must be acquainted with these and the other macroeconomic variables also. So present as well as future, which may influence her business environment. The next one, business economics is also an art because it is a practical application of rules and principles for the attainment of set objectives. That is why it is a art only. It's a practical application. So business economics also an art. Then the next topic is uses of theory of markets and private enterprises. So how can the business economic theories are used in the market level and private enterprises? Because largely uses the theory of market and price enterprises. It uses the theory of the firm and resources allocation in the backdrop of a private enterprises economy. It's a pragmatic approach because microeconomics is a abstract and purely theoretical only. So it is analyzes the economic phenomena under the unrealistic assumption. Sometimes it is a unrealistic assumption because in the microeconomic theory, for example, it's a demand theory. So what happened? Other things remaining unchanged. Only the demand theory is applicable. The price and the demand only ruled over the demand theory. That is why it is an unrealistic assumption in the economic phenomena. It's an example only. So, in contrast, business economics is a pragmatic. So, its approach as it tackles practical problems which the firms face in the real world. The next one, interdisciplinary nature. Yes, we know because in business economics, not only used in the economics only, we are using the other discipline tools also. So, what are the other disciplines such as mathematics, operation research, management theory, accounting, marketing, finance, statistics, and econometrics also. That is why business economics nature is a interdisciplinary. The next one, normative in nature. So it is always in the normative only. Usually, positive or pure science means it analyzes the cause and effect, the relationship between variables and objective and scientific manner. But it does not involve the relationship between the cause and effect. That is why business economics is called normative in nature. In other words, we say it describes in a nature sense that it describes the economic behavior of individuals or society without the prescriptions about the desirability or otherwise such as behavior only. So it is a normative science. So normative science only suggestions are given, not the solution. If the solutions are given means it is a positive of nature. But business economics is only the normative nature. What is what only they said. So it is a nature suggests only what should be a particular course of action under given circumstances. So the welfare considerations are embedded in normative science only. So business economics is generally normative and perspective in nature. So it suggests the application of economic principles with regard to policy formulation and decision making. So the next one is the scope of business economics. The scope means which level it will be extends. What is its marginal level? So margin. So that is called scope only. So wider. How much they do? Wide only. So the scope of business economics is quite wide only. And it covers most of the practical problems a manager or a firm first faces only. So there are two categories of business issues to which economic theories can be directly applied. So, what are they? Namely, first one, internal issues, otherwise, it is called operational issues. So, within the company or within the campus, that is called internal issues. This can be solved using microeconomics because it is a part only. And then, second is external issues. What is the external? That is the environmental issues. This can be solved using macroeconomics only. So the scope of business economics means there are two types, two categories. The first one, internal issues, and then second one, external issue. How can we solve these issues? We can solve the internal issues using through the microeconomics. We can solve the external issues through the macroeconomics only. So this is called the scope of business economics. Scope means what is the wide area. What is the area only? That is called scope only. So this is the scope of business economics. So one by one we have to analyze here. So microeconomics applied to internal or operational issues. Yes. Yes, today's class, this is enough. So the next class we will discuss. So what are the microeconomic applications to internal or operational issues only. Yes, thank you, students. You have any doubt, post the question. I will clear your doubts. Yes, if you have any doubt, yes, post your doubt, ma'am.